A very good morning to everybody in here. I especially thank Mr. Pathak who has introduced this and who is the creator of this DP is here. And I also am very much obliged that I have the opportunity to share this dais and discuss this DCR along with you. Most of the points Mr. Pathak has already covered, which I feel like, skipping the points. But since the demand of Hindi language is there, so I request everybody to again hear me out. मेरी थोड़ी हिंदी थोड़ी powerful नहीं है, but still I will try my level best to speak in Hindi. It is very important for every citizen to know what the draft has in store for us. Objections, suggestions can't be made without any study. Our aim is to inform people about the DP and its implications. BMC has set a deadline of April 24. This is in news and talk of the town. 24 तारीख को last date for submission and objections. For people to send in their opinions of the city's blueprint for the next 20 years. एक और चीज बताना चाहता हूँ जो मिस्टर पाठक ने भी बताया कि 1991 का DCR जो था, it was very complicated. My God, I will really seriously say, as an architect also, I failed to understand वो कितना complicated था. But looking at this new DCR, the way it has been formed and the way it has been prepared, whatever background it may be, whatever reports it may have come, it has been very nicely presented, it has been very nicely depicted in form of illustrations, pictures and figures. कि भाई एटलीस्ट मालूम तो पड़ रहा है कि भाई वो क्या कहना चाहते हैं. So I will start, I will not discuss much on this, I will start with my presentation to be very quick on this. This is to show you the notification which has started all this issue of objection and suggestions. It came in 25th of February. 25 February को ये notification आया था from our Honorable Commissioner Sitaram Kunte. Just to highlight here, it has been saying that this draft report on the plan and the draft development regulation in respect thereof are kept open for inspection during the office hours of any working days in the office. And it will be available in Fort Mumbai 1. The same are also available on MCGM web portal www.mcgm.gov.in. It's also available in the following address: zonal offices. City you can go and approach in Wadala address. Western suburb you have two addresses, one in Bandra and one in Kandivali. And eastern suburbs you have in Vikhroli. Now, the suggestions and objections are now invited from the members of the public in respect of the said draft development plans of Greater Mumbai and set under the section 26. Act within 60 days from the date of publication of this notice. We have 60 days starting from 24th February. And it is saying also the suggestion and objection may be communicated in writing to the municipal commissioner within the above said statutory notice period of 60 days. At the office of Chief Engineer at above mentioned address. The suggestion and objection received before and after the aforesaid date will not be considered. The envelopes forwarding the suggestion objection may be superscribed in bold letters. Suggestion objection to the draft development plan 2034. Now, as Mr. Pathak said that they have prepared 600 pages report. And it is very difficult for each of us to refer 600 pages and to understand what is all about. To give a little background, थोड़ा report के बारे में, I will give you a little background which I cannot cover 600 pages. It says, Section 38 MRTP Act mandates for revision of DP once in 20 years. हर 20 साल में नया DP बनना चाहिए. That is the law. Procedure of making the DP till final section is elucidated in section 21 to 31 of MRTP Act. क्या होता है DP plan में? All these things are required. Proposal of land use zone and zoning. Proposal of designation of public purposes. Proposal of open spaces, playgrounds, transportations, water supply and sewerage, reservation of land. plans, services industries, industrial estates and extensive development. All this has been covered in the report. Also, it covers the entire city. Is divided into 3 sections: ES, WS, and the city. ES is the eastern suburb, western suburb, and the city. 24 administrative wards, 150 planning sectors. Sectors determined by bounds by major roads, creek, arm, rivers, and by campus bounds by BIRC and IIT. Sector coverages are given in table 2 of the report. In ELU is existing land use plan. Existing amenities like social open spaces, public utilities zone, users and all such details are captured at sectoral level and then built up to ward and then city level. Existing land use reveals that 65% is developed and 35% is undeveloped. Talking about population, as Mr. Pathak said, it is assumed that by 2034, the population of Mumbai city would be 13.9 million. 42% live in slum and will remain in smaller size tenements of say 300 square foot area, that is 8 square meter per capita, even after rehabbing new buildings. Now we start with the DC regulation, which consists of 10 parts. We have extracted few points which is relevant to the society members, and we will discuss and interact on those points. Starting with part 1, which is administration, there are only few points which we need to highlight. That is the date of commencement. The present DCR is still applicable till the draft DP 2034 is sanctioned by the state government. During transitional arrangement, provision shall apply. What provision shall apply, we will see. Land use zones, stringent land use zones of DP 1991 and draft DP 2034 shall prevail. Control of other development, all other aspects of development shall continue to be governed by SCR 1991, including payments for premium as amended to date till the draft DP is sanctioned. We come to next part, procedure. This is newly introduced, the procedure of planning purposes. Earlier there was only one planning, building permission के लिए procedure होता था. Now they have added. पहले मैं पूरा तो थोड़ा मिक्स होगा. पहले एक ही proposal submit करते थे, building proposal. अभी you have to go for 2 building planning proposal के लिए submit करना पड़ेगा पहले. And after getting the planning permission sanctioned, then you have to apply for building permission. अभी planning permission के लिए क्या क्या applicable है? What will be involved in planning permission is all written here. Change of user if it is there, then planning permission will be required. Layout subdivision, amalgamation is there, then planning permission will be required. Development permission and accommodation reservation, then planning permission would be required. Grant of TDR, utilization of TDR, development of cotton textile mills, quarrying if permissible, reclamation if permissible, development heritage basics, and cluster development. All this case involved planning permission. After planning permission is sanctioned, you go for building permission. This is just for your information where you apply for building permission. Based on the zone, city you go for Wadala, western suburbs you have to Bandra and Kandivali, eastern suburbs you have to go to Vikrolia. Now coming to validity.
Excuse me, can you please tell the rationale also of the new changes, and also if there is going to save some time or some productivity?
I request you that let the presentation be over in its own flow. Then we have ample time for
Question answer.
Entire panel will be going.
No, step by step everything is being done. Maybe rationale at that point.
If you can, yes, because he has been given 1.5 hours to reduce to 30 minutes. So it may take time, but you want to have more interaction.
Thank you. Validity for past permission. Abhi in this phase of getting sanction of DCR 34, past permission का validity क्या है ये बता रहे हैं. They have also covered that part. If the CC has been issued before the date of publication and this regulation, but the development is not started within the year from the date of issue, such CC will lapse. CC a commencement certificate हो गया. I think this is there already in 1991. They have still repeated here. This is a new thing. If after issue of IOD, the CC is not granted within a period of 1 year, the IOD shall lapse and fresh application for development permission will have to be made under this regulation. Where development has commenced within 1 year of CC, prior to this publication of this regulation, the CC when required will be revalidated till the completion of redevelopment in accordance with the CC already granted without requiring compliance with this regulation. ये कहना चाहते हैं कि अगर CC जो अगर 1 साल के पहले हो गया है, आपको मिल गया, ऑब्टेन हो गया है, तो that CC will be validated and it will continue with the older 1991 DCR. Handing over of reservation, designation, amenity space, DP layout, roads and built-up amenities under accommodation reservation, which are required to be handed over free of cost to MCGM, as per the conditions of CC and conditions of planning built-up area up to FSI 1. Now they have put some space for handing over to MCGM free of cost. लेकिन ये handing over जो है, आपका construction 1 FSI तक होगा तब उसके पहले handover करना है. This is what they are saying. Or before completion of construction up to 50% of the permissible base FSI, whichever is higher. For such areas, transfer of land in the name of MCGM on the property register card with area in figures and words shall take place before submission of BCC. और उनके नाम पे ट्रांसफर करना है before getting the OC or the BCC. Coming to part 3, that is public means streets, access and layouts. Now this is very important to be noted. Based on the height of the building and with permissible FSI, minimum road width also is given. If you see the building type low rise is up to 30 meters is called low rise, where the permissible maximum FSI is 3.5, it is applicable for road width of 6.1 meters only. For high rise 1, 3.5 meter permissible FSI, you can take the building above 30 meters to 70 meters and with the road width of 9.15 meters. If the permissible FSI of 5, you can go up to 70 to 120 meters with a road width of 13.4 meters. For high rise 6.5 permissible FSI is required, above 120 meters high you can go with the road width of 18.3 meters. For other special buildings and established buildings, height up to 30 meters, road width is required 13.4 and above 30 meters, road width is required 18.3. Now here there will be a question like, okay, there are zones of FSI zones, and if the FSI zone of 5 is there, but the road width is not 13.4 to achieve that 5 FSI, there is a little leniency what they have come. For FSI 5 and above, the plot of such wider road shall be accessible within a distance of 250 meters. अगर आपका plot 250 मीटर के अंदर है to the higher width of the road, you can still go with the higher FSI. Coming to amenity space for public purpose. In any layout or subdivision of land, area for the provision of public amenities shall be contributed to MCGM and handed over free of cost. Now, जैसे पहले 1991 DCR में था कि 15% RG, 20% RG, 15% RG कैलकुलेशन के लिए था, and physical RG 15%, 20% and 25% based on the plot area. This was not to be handed over, it was kept with the society. The society used to use it as a recreational purpose. But now in this case, 10% for the area of all plots above 2,000 square meters needs to be handed over to MCGM for public purpose. In addition to one above, additional area shall be insisted for the following: changing industrial use of plots, that is from industrial to residential or industrial to commercial. Additional 5% over and above 10% you have to hand over. Development of cotton textile work mills, additional 10% will be applicable. In case of cotton textile mill, out of 20, there is a sharing between MCGM and MADA, 12.5 and 7.5%. On amenity open space, also they have said that in case of development of plot in the layout or development of vacant plot in the layout approved prior to these regulations, if the area provided of layout RG as per the regulations existed prior to into force of this regulation is handed over. अगर पहले के DCR के हिसाब से आपने already आपके सोसाइटी ने RG hand over किया हुआ है, तो in that case this will not be insisted on. That's what they are saying. Otherwise, amenity space as required under table 7 of this regulation shall be handed over to the MCGM in accordance with the plot area for which development claims rights are claimed as per these regulations. Next point is the public amenity space shall be worked on gross plot area after deducting the proposed road, sanctioned road line RL, existing road affecting the plot. In case of plot consists of any reservation and designation as provided in the development plan, the area of such reservation and designation may be set off against the public amenity space. ये next slide में आपको समझाऊंगा slide में with a depiction of images. This is the formula how the amenity space will arrive to. Amenity space is equal to gross plot area minus the area of existing road, proposed road into the percentage factor, that is 10%, 15% or 20%. Less minus the area under reservation or designation if any on the plot. The next table shows a few examples of if the plot area is 2000 square meters, area of the road is 100, area of reservation is 0, net plot area is 2000 minus 100, that is 1900 square meters. So the percentage 10% amenity space you have to hand over to the MCGM is 190. And area of amenity handed over to the that is same 190. Where the gross plot area is 2000 square meters, area of road is 100, but you already have a reservation of 300 square meters. The net plot area becomes 1900, percentage remains the same 190, but you don't have to hand over any land to the MCGM because already you have reservations in advance. For case in 4000 square meter of plot area, if the area of road is 100 square meters, area of reservation is 300, so your net plot area becomes 3900 square meters. Percentage of that is 390. So area of amenity required is 390 minus 300, that comes to 90 square meters. In other case like 6000 plot area, area of road is 1000 square meters, area of reservation is already 3000 square meters. Net plot area becomes 5000, 6000 minus 1000. So the percentage 10% comes to 500. But your already area of reservation is higher than that 500 is 3000. So you don't have to hand over here any amenity space. In the last case 8000 square meters, area of road is 1000. Area of reservation is 300. Net plot area becomes 7000. Percentage of that is 700. So your area to be given handed over is 700 minus 300 is 400 square meters. This is an illustration which says the same thing. Amenity open space, if the plot area is more than 2000 square meters, 10% amenity open space to be provided and handed over to MCGM free of cost. Plot area similarly is in this form, table form you can understand better. 6000 less road setbacks 1000, reservation RG is 1000 in, so your net gross area of the plot comes to 5000 square meters. 10% of that 5000 becomes 500 square meters. So proposed DP reservation RG is more than 8, so hence amenity space is not required. For industrial users, change of industrial users to residential commercial 5% additional RG, and for cotton textile mills is 10% additional RG. Coming to access to the amenity space, such amenity space for every plot meant for amenity shall be directly accessible from public street. ये access देना जरूरी है हर एक community space आप जो hand over करोगे MCGM को direct access देना जरूरी है from your plot. अगर आपका plot 13.5 मीटर width से कम है तो आपको एक 6 मीटर additional roadway देना पड़ेगा right of way to reach the amenity space. This is another point which is very crucial and many society members would really are worried on this. Requirement of public road in a layout. What this says is any plot which is 4,000 square meters and above, an additional road would be treated as public road, which would be required and handed over free of cost to MCGM. This shows similarly how we discussed the area of amenity area 10% should be abutting the road, and if it is not abutting, you have to have 6 meters access to reach the amenity space. Now, you will be wondering what this amenity space MCGM will do. After handing over free of cost to the MCGM, they are trying to create a pool for public purpose, these areas. And the ownership of the amenity space will be exclusively used by MCGM and they can designate appropriate for public purposes. And such public amenity space will be like recreational open spaces, markets, welfare centers, Aadhaar Kendra, public chowkis, public sanitary convenience, municipal chowkis, shelter for destitute, night shelters, old age homes, pumping stations, citizens facilitation centers, municipal dispensaries, facility for solid waste management, fire station, fuel station, electric substation, etc. Either for single facility or multiple facility as per the requirement in the planning sector. तो ये जो 10% amenity space आप hand over करेंगे, MCGM is planning to provide all this for public purposes. Coming to next part is land zoning. पाठक साहब ने पहले भी अपने स्पीच में बताया है कि how the zoning is done. Earlier it was R1, R2 zone, industrial I1, I2, I3 zone. So a lot of competition was there in the earlier DP, but now they have made it very simplified. They have divided the entire thing into 4 zones. The first zone is called RC zone, that is residential commercial zone. It's a mixed use zone with residential use as a predominant, where the commercial uses are permitted as specified. The CR zone, the commercial residential zone, is a mixed use zone where commercial and residential use and certain types of manufacturing is also permitted. Industrial zone is brought to one industrial zone only, where manufacturing is primary activity in the industrial zone. In addition, warehousing, logistics are also permissible. New industrial activities shall be non-polluting, non-hazardous and subject to clearance of MPCB, Pollution Control Board. The existing industrial use are protected subject to certification of Pollution Control Board. And the last is a natural zone where no building construction is permitted. This is how, if you see the land use map, this is how it will look. This is only the part of the land use map. It's a very huge file where bottom of the map there's a legend which is showing like this, which shows which areas are designated for what. All the color codes are very nicely been depicted in the map. You can easily identify where the reservation is, how the plot is affected, and for what purpose the land is being used. Even this is a part of the legend where you should see the reservation. You see the proposed road, existing road was also shown. You see the land use zone, color coded. Also other things like the 100-meter prohibited area, 200-meter regulated area, heritage precincts, high voltage line, buffer high voltage line, buffer for railway, buffer for highways, everything has been captured into one nicely land use maps. See, even this proposed road, this orange thing is the proposed road, which was not earlier there. If you see the white road, which are existing roads, and there is an orange line on the border of the white roads, those are road extension, proposed road extension. All these are under reservation. The green hash, the red portion, all this is under reservation of different purposes. Now this is the map of Mumbai, wherein the entire 4 zones has been divided. You can see how with the color code you can analyze the entire Mumbai. If you see the RC zone, which is this color, the CR zone where the commercial dominated area is all this color, which you can see the maximum area is that. The industrial area is the purple color, where the industrial land use is permitted, and you see the natural areas, which is the green color. Now everybody, if you see this area, which is now the talk of the town on every newspaper headlines, you see Are Bachao, Are Bachao. This is why people are objecting, because this has been converted into residential commercial zones. Maybe that is the reason. Coming to inclusionary housing. Now, inclusionary housing is nothing special. It is in the form of EWS, Economic Weaker Section. In case of every development of plot having a gross plot area of 2000 square meters or more, additional development rights equivalent to 10% of the development rights computed at the base FSI shall be developed. The plot area जो आपका है 2000 square meters के ऊपर रहेगा, तो हर एक प्लॉट एरिया जो 2000 स्क्वायर मीटर्स के ऊपर रहेगा उसको 10% ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर बेस एफएसआई आपको इंक्लूजनरी हाउसिंग डेवलप करके देना है एमसीजीएल को, एंड दैट आल्सो हैज टू बी हैंडेड ओवर फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. दिस इज हाउ द कैलकुलेशन इज बीन गिवन. द बिल्ट अप एरिया ए B is equal to built up area A into RR A divided by RRB. RR is the ready reckoner rate of the plot and RRB is the ready reckoner rate of the plot B. We'll show you one example like this where the permissible FSI is equal to 5. Gross area of plot, if it is 8000 square meters, base FSI for that 5 FSI is 2.5. So your permissible base FSI calculates to 20,000 square meters. So of that 20,000 square meter of base FSI, 10% becomes 2,000. That you have to share it with the MCGM in terms of inclusionary housing. There is some exceptions here, which says like this: if the FSI permissible is 3.5, gross area of the plot is 3,000 square meters. For a lesser size of plot, permissible FSI is 2, so the proposed FSI becomes 6,000. Existing built-up area here is 3,500. The difference between the proposed FSI and the existing built-up area, if it is at least or less than 2,500, you don't have to give 10% inclusionary housing. That is been accepted. Another case where 5 FSI, 3.5 FSI is there, and in the same small plot like 3,000 square meters, 2 FSI is a permissible base FSI. Proposed FSI becomes 6,000. in that, in the existing FSI built up area, existing built up area अगर आपका 2550 होता है, तो balance area becomes 3450 square meters. It is a little higher than 2500 square meters. So the 10% inclusionary is required 6000 minus 2550 square meters into 10%, that becomes 345 square meters only. This is another inclusionary housing. अगर irregular shape का plot है, आपका plot size में inclusionary housing planning hardship के वजह से अगर fit नहीं हो रहा है, तो you can propose the same inclusionary housing somewhere else, but in the same ward. That is what the PP is saying. Relocation of the same ward, same plot under the development plot B. This is a sample where permissible FSI is 5. Gross plot area, if it is 4000 square meters, is 2.5. Required area of inclusionary housing is 2.5 into 4000, that is 10% of that becomes 1000 square meter. Ready reckoner rate of plot A, if it is 77,600, and ready reckoner rate of B, if it is 48,800. The formula is plot area B is equal to A into RRA divided by RRB, which comes 1000 into that ratio 1.59. So the plot B of the inclusionary housing becomes 1590 square meters. Now such inclusionary housing dwelling units, minimum carpet area of the dwelling unit inclusionary house shall be 27.88 square meters, which is 300 square feet. And it has been exempted. This inclusionary housing is exempted in the development of special DCR 1, 2 and 4. There are special DCR also, which I forgot to tell you. There is general DCR and special DCR. So special DCR is having CES building, it is having MADA development. It also has CES building, MADA development and slums. Yeah. So those are taken into consideration in this special DCR. I think we will take a break. Good afternoon, everybody. We continue with the DC regulation presentation, part number 5. Very interesting topic. This is FSI. Everybody wants to know what is this and how much we are getting and how much you are losing. Hello? Sound fine now? Hello? Okay. Hello? So now coming to the definition of FSI. This is what it states. FSI is now redefined as the total covered area of all floors by gross plot area. There's a difference in that. Earlier it was not the total floor area, covered area, it was total floor areas by the net plot area. Here the definition is changed by the total covered floor areas by the gross plot area. This is one example where the gross plot area, which is 8,000 square meters, permissible FSI is 5. So 8,000 into 5, 40,000 square meters हो जाता है. So FSI 40,000 divided by 8,000 is 5. In this, road also is inclusive. Now very important we need to understand is what are the features which is not to be considered as covered area for computation of FSI. Terraces created due to step backs. We'll explain further what is step backs on the top of the building. Refuge areas as per these regulations. Parking areas again as per these regulations. Any parking proposed in addition to the required parking under this regulation shall be counted in FSI. Service floors, fire check floors, roof over staircases, lift machine rooms, areas covered by porches and canopies, and entrances of the building at the ground level and the podium level. Areas covered by arcades adjacent to the streets as required or provided for a regulation under SDCR 7 of these regulations. This will be only free of FSI, will not be considered as covered FSI. There are other features that do not constitute covered area, which they are saying that this is also not going to be considered in computing the FSI. That is underground tank, suction tank, pump room, wastewater recycling plant, sewerage STP, industrial effluent treatment plant, rainwater harvesting, non-conventional energy system, electricity distribution station, garbage shaft, refuse chute, overhead tanks. Now here also overhead tanks will be only allowed if the terrace slab and the bottom of the overhead tank is 1.5 meters. If your bottom slab of the overhead tank is above 1.5 meters, that area again will be counted into FSI. It will be considered as covered area. Independent structure of elevated water tank, dustbins, rockery, well structures, plant nursery, fountain, swimming pool. It's a part of water body, all those things. All this will be not constituted as covered areas. Space for water hydrants, electric, weatherproof installation, water fittings, chimney, chajja not exceeding 75 centimeters, that is 2.5 foot. Projection and provided that the bottom of the beam and over the lintel of the opening window. This is a little technical thing. Covered areas required on topmost terrace for dish antenna. All those things also will be free of FSI. Cooling tower, chilling plant, advertisement and sky signs, compound wall, and architect features at the terrace level within the permissible height. All this will be not constituted as a covered areas. This is a diagram which says the same thing, what will be considered free of FSI and what will be the constitute covered area. You see the diagram, the section shows, and it is depicting the same thing. We come to FSI zoning. This is very important for us and everybody to understand, where permissible FSI is in the row 8, 6.5, 5, 3.5 and 2. The base FSI for 8 FSI is 2.5. Premium A for 8 FSI is 2.5. TDR available for 8 FSI is again 0.5 and Premium B for 8 FSI is 2.5. Similarly for 6.5 FSI, base FSI for that is 2.5. Premium A for that is 1.5. TDR available for 6.5 FSI is 0.5. And Premium B is 2 for 6.5. For permissible FSI 5, base FSI is 2.5, Premium A is 0.5, TDR is 0.5 and Premium B is 1.5. Similarly for 3.5, base is 2, Premium A is 0.5, TDR is 0.5, Premium B is 0.5. For maximum 2 FSI, base is 1.5 and Premium A is 0.5. Here now we all understand that base FSI wherever is given, base FSI is a FSI which everybody is saying it is an advantage. That we mean is, what is the advantage? It is free. It is available as a free component. Premium A, TDR and Premium B are all on chargeable basis. Now if you see this map, how the FSI in totality is distributed in the whole entire city. If you see 8 FSI, which is this dark brown color, which is constituting only 0.46% of the entire city. If you see the entire map, at this point, which is at near Andheri station, and this point, which is Dadar station, only those areas are getting 8 FSI. Nowhere else in the entire region of Mumbai is having 8 FSI. 6.5 FSI. That also constitutes only 4.55% of the entire area of Mumbai. If you see this color, dark red color, which is somewhere here close to the stations, this side, and somewhere at this side, this only constitutes 4.55% of the area. Coming to 5 FSI, which is constituting 31.87%, which is this dark red color, is all around the railway lines. All this area in the city is also having 5 FSI. Coming to 3.5, which is the maximum area of coverage of the Mumbai city, is 58.12%. You see this color, this is a yellow ochre color, is all the maximum area which is covered under 3.5 FSI. And the least 2 FSI, it is also considering 5%, is the light yellow color, is somewhere here. So this is how the FSI has been distributed all over the city in Mumbai. This also is a part of the map where you see how the map is to be read. This is a FSI zonal map which we were discussing earlier. Each and every map with the wards, with the sectors, they have defined where the FSI will be and which area and which plot the FSI will be applicable. If you see this area, this is somewhere at Andheri station. All this area is under dark brown color, which is having 8 FSI. It is written out here in the map itself that it is 8 FSI. Outside 8 FSI, if you see this area, this is 6.5 FSI. If you see here, it is written 6.5 FSI. So the plot which is situated in this locality will have this 6.5 FSI. So there is no confusion like your plot, if it belongs to this area, you will get this FSI. Otherwise, you won't get this FSI. Also, there are other constraints of the road, abutting the road also. You see this area, this is also another 5 FSI. This area is also 5 FSI. Again, you go away from the railway station, this FSI is 3 FSI, 3.5 FSI. Likewise, they have indicated everything in the map, what FSI is available in which plot. This is the legend below the map. It shows the range of the total zonal FSI here, including what is happening. The streetscape is also been indicated here. The roads, whether there is existing road, proposed road, road widening, then whether the plot is under urban renewal scheme, slum cluster, whether the plot is under TOD zone, natural areas, water bodies, all these things are mentioned very clearly in the maps. Coming to premium FSI, calculation of premium A, this is how it has been calculated, the gross plot area into premium AFSI into 70% of the ready reckoner rate of land of the current year. Calculation B of premium B is gross plot area into premium B FSI into 100% of the ready reckoner rate of the land of the current year. This is the TDR formula, development rights for that plot, as TDR is equal to plot area into base FSI plus premium AFSI. For example, for FSI 3.5, if the plot area of 1000 has to be handed over, base FSI is 2, 0.5 FSI is premium A, so your total TDR will be 1000 into 2 plus 0.5 is 2500 square meters. For case of FSI 5, if the plot area to be handed over is 1000, 2.5 the base FSI, premium A is 0.5, so TDR will be 1000 into 2.5 plus 0.5 FSI, that is 3000. Where the land is to be handed over free of cost, premium A will not to be paid. These are all the instances and extent of TDR. I think earlier we have discussed and somebody has pointed out this, where at what instance we can get TDR. Land reserve designation for public purposes. Development rights permission on land cannot be used on remaining land. For amenity open space, reservation, design, DP road, Nala widening, road line under MMC Act, private roads, layout roads required under Regulation 11.4, redevelopment of cess buildings, URS under slum area, heritage, built-up area provided free of cost for resettlement of occupiers on MCGM's land reserved for public parking or for contravening structures of TPAs, built-up area for transit, tenements, or affordable housing scheme on private land. All these instances will have compensation for TDR. This is how the formula for utilization of TDR. TDR-R is the receiving land is equal to TDR-O is the originating land into RR-LO is the ready reckoner rate of the original land divided by ready reckoner rate of the receiving land. Coming to part 6. Part 6 is the development of land for public purposes. This we are not taking into account because this is not relevant to our main concern. Because this you are going to hand over to the MCGM. This MCGM will be going to develop under this regulation of part 6. Coming to part 7, building design regulation. Now we are talking about open spaces. Now earlier we had another formula in 1991 DP, we had H by 3 and open space deficiency, and a lot of confusion was there how to arrive at the formula of open space deficiency. Now they have made it very clear. They have given with the height of the building what is setback required for front, sides and rears. This is the table which shows building up to 15 meters, front side back is 1.5 meters, side 1 is 4.5 meters, side 2 is 3 meters and rear is 3 meters. For building up to 30 meters height, front setback is 3 meters, side open space is 4.5, side 2 is also 4.5 and rear side is also 4.5. For building up to 70 meters, all sides require 6 meter open space. For building up to 120 meters, all sides requires 9 meter open space. And for building above 120 meters, all sides requires 12 meter open space except rear 9 meters. But here they have given a little bit of relief in terms of front open space. This is how they have given a step back. Now step back is like there will be a formation of terraces at certain height of the building as mentioned here in the table. Up to, this is for the front step back. Up to 15 meters height of the building, the open space or the front setback at the ground level will be 1.5 meters. So that is done. Above 15 and up to 30 meters, ground level will be 1.5 meters at the ground level, and another 1.5 meters step back is at 15 meters height. So total is 3 meters. Likewise, above 30 meters to up to 70 meters building height, at the ground level setback given is 1.5 meters, at 15 meters again 1.5 meters, and at 30 meters 3 meters. So total comes to 6 meters. For a building above 70 meters and up to 120 meters, at the ground level it is 1.5 meters, at 15 meters 1.5, at 30 meters 3 meters, and at 70 meters 3 meters. Similarly for about 120, ground level पे फिर भी 1.5 meters ही दिया है. At 15 meters it is 1.5, 30 meters 3 meters, 70 meters 3 meters, and 120 meters 3 meters. Similarly for side, one side step backs दिए हुए हैं in this manner. उसमें minimum ground level 3 meters के है, and as you go higher at 50 meters, 30 meters and 70 meters, आपका step back 1.5 meter और 3 meters पीछे पीछे building जाएगा. This is how the step back is like. This is the front step back. At the ground level you have 1.5 meters only, that it reduces to 1.5 at 30 meters, 70 meters and 120 meters. First one side again 3 meters, it reduces to 50 at 15, 30, 70 and 120 meters. At this point only they have said it will be a step back. Then these are the instances where what is the maximum building envelope for height up to building 15 meters. This is a diagram showing height up to 30 meters. This is a diagram showing height up to 70 meters. And this is up to 120 meters. See, the ground surface is larger, and as you go higher, your footprint of the building reduces. Now this is another point in CR zone, that is commercial residential zone, where commercial zone will be predominantly used. They are saying that no compound wall along the street shall be constructed. Front marginal open space shall be leveled and paved at the same level as the adjacent footpath. Means you will have to only have 3 sides compound wall, front side you have to keep it open. So we have to wonder and we have to question that what will happen for the residential areas in this zone. Commercial area के लिए ठीक है, like there will be shops or something, But if the building is totally residential in this zone, CR zone, what will happen? Third point here is the boundary gate to a compound wall to the plot that shall be provided at least 3 meters inside. This is a little technical thing. If you have a compound wall in front like this, you have to leave 3 meters from the front compound wall and have the gate here. The reason they give is that to avoid traffic jams on the streets abutting the plot. This is the requirement for installation of electrical distribution station. Earlier in 1991, minimum plot area of 500 square meters was required for a substation or electric substation to be provided. Now they have given a little relief that up to 1000 square meters you don't have to provide anything like that. The requirement for electrical substation will start from 1000 square meter of plot to 2000 square meter, which will be 40 square meter. 2000 to 4000 plot square meter अगर plot रहेगा तो 66 square meters हो जाएगा आपका requirement plot देने का. And above 4000 square meters will be as per serial number 2. तो यहाँ पे serial number 2 मेरे ख्याल से आया नहीं है. Serial number 2 says like it will be as per the service provider, and maximum up to 1200 square meter of plot they are asking. This is a huge thing that we will have to debate again. Coming to parking, residential and commercial parking building के लिए एक parking for 100 square meters of built up area. This is a simple formula they have given for entire development. पहले क्या था, slab wise था, depending on the carpet area. Up to 35 square meters to 40 square meters, then 70 square meters and above likewise. They had given a slab. Now it is straight one parking for 100 square meters, even for a commercial building. In TOD zone, now TOD is transit oriented development, which earlier one of the panelists has discussed, that this zone is been happening at the railway lines and the metro lines. The reason of TOD zone is to reduce the traffic movement and encourage public transport. That is why the parking requirement here is reduced to 50%. School bus parking is introduced in educational building at the rate of 0.4 for 100 square meters carpet area for classrooms. Parking cannot be provided in marginal open space. जो marginal open space पहले define किया हुआ है 3 मीटर 6 मीटर, वहाँ पे parking allowed नहीं है. Will have to be provided within the building line. Parking will have to be provided building line के अंदर ही provide करना है. Minimum height required for bus parking will be 5 meters. Parking can be provided in stilled basement podium and uncovered space. Maximum area for parking space excluding the area of maneuvering, passage, ramps, column, car lifts is 25 square meters. Here they have defined area भी दिया हुआ है ताकि उस area के ऊपर अगर जाए तो free of FSI होगा, वो FSI में count किया जाएगा. That is why they have defined as maximum parking space. And maximum parking including this maneuvering, passages, ramps, columns and car lifts is 40 square meters. Any area above this will be counted in FSI. We're coming to part 8, design for physically challenged people. Now this is a very new thing which they have introduced, and in a very refined manner. Lot of details have been given in the DCR book. Lot of pictures, illustrations and images are defined. But we have captured only few things here. This provision shall apply to common areas, जैसे residential building and all areas of public buildings. Common areas में ये देना जरूरी हो गया है अभी. And all these buildings requires barrier-free design. So you will have some of the features like this happening in all of the buildings in future. Even sanitary provisions will have to provide considering the physically challenged people. They have specified number of openings, type of openings, swing doors होना चाहिए, ये size होना चाहिए. Everything is nicely been defined here. Even the diagrams, if you see, this is a toilet which says like, how the space bar is shown. All these things has to be provided in the toilet facilities. for physically challenged people. Chapter part 9 says about urban safety. Now urban safety, पहले fire fighting requirements जो था, it was about 24 meters. Now they have applied for building about 30 meters. And Maharashtra Fire Prevention and Life Safety Measures Act 2006 के हिसाब से होना चाहिए ये, National Building Code 2005 के हिसाब से भी होना चाहिए. And NOC from CFO is not prerequisite to approval of the building. This is very important. पहले अपने IOD-CC के लिए हम लोग को CFO NOC लगता था. अभी वो लोग ने थोड़ा रिलीफ दे दिया है कि ये स्टेज पे CFO NOC नहीं लगेगा. This will be only required at the time of getting the OC. He shall obtain NOC from CFO for the compliance of, fire consultant has to be appointed for the from the NPanel fire consultant. ये एक स्पेशल कंसल्टेंट इसके लिए अपॉइंट करना पड़ेगा टू गेट द एनओसी एज पर द अर्बन सेफ्टी. फॉर रेसिडेंशियल बिल्डिंग्स हैविंग हाइट मोर देन 45 मीटर्स, स्प्रिंकलर सिस्टम रिक्वायर्ड इन ईच हैबिटेबल रूम. अब ये कोई नया चीज है. आई डोंट नो हाउ इट विल लुक इफ एवरी रूम ऑफ अ रेसिडेंशियल बिल्डिंग विल हैव अ पाइपिंग ऑफ स्प्रिंकलर्स अरेंजमेंट. और उसको कैसे रिएक्ट करेगा और कैसा क्या होगा, कॉस्ट तो जाएगा ही जाएगा, बट आई डोंट नो इंडिविजुअल रूम के अंदर हर एक पॉइंट रूम में एक स्प्रिंकलर्स दिखेगा. हाँ, वाटर प्रोविजन हो तो रहेगा ही. यस. ऑक्यूपर्स ऑफ बिल्डिंग शैल सबमिट अ सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ फिटनेस ऑफ फायर फाइटिंग सिस्टम फ्रॉम फायर कंसल्टेंट्स एवरी ईयर. ऑक्यूपेंट्स मीन ऑल सोसाइटी पीपल. सोसाइटी पीपल हैव टू हैव अ सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ फिटनेस एवरी ईयर, whether your firefighting system is proper or running or not. Refuge area provision is the same as per DCR 1991, except the building required above 30 meters instead of 24 meters. In case of multi-storied high-rise buildings up to 30 meters height, the terrace floor shall be treated as a refuge area. For fire engine around high-rise buildings, 6 meters wide access on at least one side other than roadside is required. Not required for building fronting more than one public road. Ramp width minimum 4.5 meters and gradients not steeper than 1 in 10. मतलब रैम्प मिनिमम आपको 4.5 मीटर जरूरी है इसमें. पोडियम के लिए सेम लॉज अप्लाई होगा यहाँ पे DCR 1991 के लिए, जो कहता है मैक्सिमम 3 मीटर्स बियॉन्ड बिल्डिंग लाइन ऑन फायर इंजन एक्सेस साइड. ऑन अदर साइड 1.5 distance from the plot boundary is fine with them. And podium is not permitted in required open space. This is a diagram where you see a building with podium. This is a building without the podium here. You require a marginal open space of 6 meters and high. For building with podium, fire access from the ground you require minimum 6 meters, and from the podium maximum setback of 3 meters of the building is required. If the podium is accessible to the fire tender, then minimum 1.5 of SI from the compound wall to the podium is required. Another aspect to urban safety is structural design and stability certificate. This big hassle of high-rise community is gone now. I think a lot of developers will be relieved with this. So whatever issues and time-consuming process was there for getting high-rise committees approval is totally demolished now. This new system of getting structural design and stability certification has been tabled in this manner. For a low-rise building type up to 30 meters, structural design and structural stability certificate from a structural engineer registered with MCGM is required. High-rise one above 30 up to 70 meters. In addition to one, a peer review and structural stability certificate from the structural engineer registered with MCGM is required. Above 70 meters up to 120 meters for high-rise 2. Same as 1, but additional peer review from structural engineer required with MCGM from institute like IIT and Bombay and VJTI. High-rise 3 above 120 meters. Peer review and stability certificate from 2 structural engineers have to be implemented for such designs. In addition to that, peer review from the structural engineer registered with MCGM or from institute like IIT Mumbai or VJTI. Also comprises the structural design shall comply following Indian standards codes. ISC code practice of earth resistance design, ISC seismic code practice of seismic design, and ISCS practice for wind pressure. Last part, part 10, environmental sustainability. This was there in 1991 DCR, but little modification what they have done is rainwater harvesting, applicable plot for not less than 2000 square meters. So all the plots which are more than 2000 square meters will have to go for this rainwater harvesting system, which in fact good, like it is nothing wrong with this. Consultants for rainwater harvesting is required to be appointed. Open well system into which rainwater may be channeled. Rainwater harvesting from rooftop collection for recharge of groundwater through borewell. Surplus rainwater may be recharged into ground through percolating pits of trenches. There are various types of rainwater harvesting. Solar water heating system is not applicable for redevelopment or for housing societies. It is applicable for following buildings like hospital, guest house, hotels, police barracks, canteens, laboratories, and hostels for schools and colleges. Grey water recycling. Again, this was mentioned earlier, like in earlier 1991, this was applicable only plot size or construction built up area size of 20,000 square meters and above, as per MOEF standards. But now they have asked for a plot more than 4,000 square meters. It is recycling of wastewater other than from WC. WC is toilets. Separate plumbing network is required in purple blue color. All those are very technical things. Consultants of wastewater recycling is required to be appointed. मतलब additional खर्चा है builder के लिए. Water waste shall be recycled by installing recycling plant. Treated water, wastewater shall only be used for gardening, toilet flushing, car washing. Sewage treatment plant, similarly like recycling, if the built-up area exceeding 20,000 as per MOEF was there in the earlier 1991, now has been changed to a plot having more than 4,000 square meters. और the building type high rise 2 above 70 square meters के ऊपर building होगा तो आपको STP लगाना पड़ेगा. Tree plantation is like existing tree to be preserved. If you fell one tree, you have to grow double trees, plant double trees. And every plot shall have one tree for every 100 square meters, excluding plinth area. जो ग्राउंड बचता है आपको प्लिंथ एरिया छोड़ के वो एरिया पकड़ के 100 स्क्वायर मीटर्स के ऊपर एक ट्री लगाना जरूरी है. Trees shall be planted taking care that they shall not obstruct maneuvering of firefighting vehicles during emergency. Firefighting vehicles के लिए वो फ्री होना चाहिए ट्री का प्लांटेशन. Yes, it is. उसके बिना आपको ओसी नहीं मिलेगा. Compliance तो रहेगा ही वो. Energy efficient buildings. Again here, if the built up area, और मेरे ख्याल से ये गलती हो गया, this should be a plot area more than 4,000 square meters, this will apply. Solid waste management is separating colored bins to collect dry waste and wet waste shall be provided. And an environment impact assessment will be applicable. Thank you, everybody.